Let me begin. There's one thing in this world us men can't forget. Way more important than sports cars or gym for debt. They help bring each and every one of us into this world. Obviously, you know what I'm referring to as girls. Women are important in society, as sure as you can bet. But there was a time when they didn't have the civil rights yet. They couldn't vote, didn't work, and were looked down upon. Them not being treated as equals wasn't even seen as wrong. It wasn't until two feminist waves swept across the nation that women started to build the civil rights foundation. At the Seneca Falls Convention, some concerns were made. They said they'd been tyrannized by men and they were dying for change. In the first feminist movement, suffrage was their aim, and in 1920 these women made the claim to fame. With the 19th Amendment, they could finally vote, but they weren't done yet. They weren't going out on that note. Girls! 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 Next, the Equal Rights Amendment was a vital piece of legislation. It was passed by Congress and received support across the nation. Unfortunately, it ended with this termination because it couldn't get 3/4 of the state's ratification. The fight for women's equality was fought in the Supreme Court as well, where civil rights were won and discrimination fell. Versus Reed ruled against classification based on gender because they violated the 14th Amendment, remember? The Equal Protection Clause says no state can refuse or deny the equal protection of the laws to neither you nor I. When Craig was born, a medium scrutiny was sought to set whether discrimination was valid or not. As you can see, women were just starting to get their way. They were picking up rights like food at a buffet. But these women had plenty more to say. Some of the most important legislation was still on its way. Girls! 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 Moving on, next came the Civil Rights Act of '64, which banned gender discrimination in employment and more. In 1972, women were doing just fine as the Education Act was passed, including Title IX. Discrimination and federal relief on its goal. Everyone, including athletics, had to follow these rules. In '96, in Virginia versus the United States, the court ruled against requirements for height and weight. Affirmative action through Executive Order 11246 applies to race, color, religion, and accordingly sex. The battle for women's rights still goes on today. There are several issues that just aren't going away, like the role of women in the armed forces and wage discrimination that's still hard to enforce. Overall, women are a lot better off than they were before. Only time will tell what future events lay in store. Girls! 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 Girls!